Hello, everybody. Dr. Jackson here. We're talking about a significant challenge that I see in our business, and it's one that never gets addressed. I've never heard anybody talk about it, and uh, it is the brutal reality of the school building principals versus central office administration. The brutal reality is that central office, that's federal programs, all department heads, directors, uh, assistant superintendents who all work for the superintendent. Their primary job, your primary job, is to carry out the vision and mission of your superintendent. So that means there must be a vision there, right? The second thing, it is to execute it and create initiatives within it. So when I see a district that's really, really struggling, those are districts that cannot carry out initiatives. So these are the districts that change models every other year, right? I have one district, and I mean, it's a point of contention. For example, it was a behavior policy, a behavior plan, right? They spent a couple of $1 million on some behavior model. 8 of the schools was like, oh, it's great. 23 were like, this is trash and doesn't work for us. Well, the money's gone. And by the next year, they're trying to do something different. That's what I'm talking about. That's the conflict from between, because central office decided what we was doing. Half the principals, or less than a third of the principals, said down, right? A third said, yes, it works. The other said, no, it's not working. So that's where you start to see this conflict. And if you're a superintendent, if you're in the central office, if you're a principal, this is the type of stuff we can't afford to have, this type of dissension in the ranks. And it's because we're not on the same page. And so whenever I see, and then the third thing that we need from central office, your job is to support principals and give principals the proper type of guidance. Now, let me first, no, this is so good. Ooh. Let me take that word support back. Why? If I had 100 y'all in my training right now, sit down at one of my trainings, 100 of y'all in here, and I said, write down the definition of support. No Google. I guarantee you I'm going to get like 75 different interpretations of what support is. The average person, they'll say, we're providing the supports. And what you think is support and what somebody else thinks is support, it's not checking out. There in management, there's certain words you don't use, and one of them is support. It's too green, too gray. We don't know what that means. Another word you do not use in management is I don't know. Because when you're a central office person, you are paid to know. I'm not going to call an IT guy for an IT issue, and he's talking about he don't know. He don't have enough sense to say, let me look into it. I'll get back to you. These are things that are creating tension to where principals believe the central office don't want to see them win. And then the central office is not happy with a lot of the practices of the building principal, because the building principal is not doing what the central office wants done. But by the principal standard, they're just trying to manage the day-to-day. That's what's creating the conflict. This is something that no district, no parish, if you're in the South, in Louisiana, you can't afford to have it. It's too devastating. It's too destroying of the program. So what I have seen when there are real problems, when I see that, it tells me there's going to be a limit to what we can accomplish, because I don't have my upper management and middle management on the same page. One of the things I want to ask you to do is, if you have one of those districts, so right now in my programs, I have districts as small as 3 schools. I have them as large as over 100 schools. I think we're in the process. I think my person told me a very, very large district, I believe like one of the largest in the particular state. like 200 schools or something like that. I was like, how many? A couple of 100,000 kids. Like, wow. And they know they need help. So the thing is, the larger you get, a lot of this stuff gets lost in translation, and the relationship can never grow sour, south, or unproductive between central office. If those principals see you as you don't know what you're doing, that there's no reason to call you, or that they are more knowledgeable than you in the department in which you lead and guide, which is highly common, then we have a problem that has to be addressed. Here's what I would like you to do about it. And this is what I want to give you in this time together. And I think it'll help you. One thing that you have to do if you really want to be an effective person in central office is central office establishes a culture in an organization. So every time I see an organization not be able to get off the ground, it's the central office, because the central office is responsible for the principals, right? So if you have people, the central office creates the culture. So here's the deal. What is the culture in your organization? What is the culture in your district? Talking to superintendents right now, talking to principals right now. What is the culture in your school, principal? Got one principal who has 6 APs. I asked her, I said, is everybody team you? She said, almost. We already know what we got going on then. Remember, it's only 6 people and everybody's not team. So that, what does that mean? And notice what she said. I didn't get to pick all these APs, Jackson. There we go. So central office is picking who works for you. That's a point of contention. And now we got conflict. So we have some districts where the principal doesn't hire. We have some situations where the principal knows nothing about their budget. What have we found? That's a point of contention. Now, I'm not telling you right or wrong, but I will tell you this about hiring. To not let the principal get involved with hiring is delusional. And it makes 0 sense. And if you think, listen, I get to choose my offensive coordinator. I'm a football coach. I get to choose my defensive coordinator. You're not about to just say, hey, here's your OC and think we about to win. And it works like that. It doesn't work that way. And this is the conflicts that are occurring. Jesse Jackson is telling you, you got to deal with that stuff. And it is hindering our performance in the class. Our schools can be doing so much better, but the conflict between building principals and district office is stopping that process. What are we seeing? Does your company have a backstabbing culture? Does your district have ongoing conflict? So here's the deal. We might have, sometimes the central offices are good to the principal, but there is conflict in the central office, right? Secondary can't get along with elementary. Federal programs is fighting curriculum. Getting everybody on the same page is our charge. Backstabbing culture, we're going to fail. Weak, poor, ineffective communication, where it's only come down to emails and it's sharp and it's slick, we lost. Is the culture becoming one that allows people not to work, but they get to keep their jobs and they get evaluated well? That is a cultural dysfunction, and it will keep you from getting the results you need in your organization. We're at the point now where we have to start leveling with ourselves. I pride myself in being somebody who's just very direct. Here's what it is. I don't play around with people. And here's the deal. I understand a lot of people won't like that because they're not ready and they're not mature. See, this is my life. And when a company trusts me with guidance, they need the honesty and expertise that can move you out of dark places as an organization. If you're an F organization and all your schools are a flat F, explain to me how you are sitting here talking about what don't work and what you don't like and what you disagree with. Explain that. Culture, principals, central office. We don't get it. And then you'll have the superintendent who does not enforce what they need to have happen. And so the central office is essentially representing the superintendent or misrepresenting the superintendent, and that loses the respect of the principals, because the principals are looking like, well, Dr. So-and-so allows them to do what they do to us. They allow them to push us in that way, and you lose your respect of your subordinates. So what has to happen is we've got to find the same page. If this is something that your organization is dealing with, I am really I'm challenging you to take action. And what has to happen is it does not get corrected with meetings. You need some degree of training to provide clarification points and to really help people to get on the same page. Do you understand that being a team requires training? To think because we're all in the same department or in the same table that we work well together, or that we're going to be successful as a unit, it's egregious thought, because you got to teach people how to work together. You have to bring certain things to folks' attention. And here's the thing, and the last thing I'll give you, you as a central office person, you have to learn how to develop people and give them its feedback and give them constructive, productive guidance. There's a lot of principals doing a lot of stuff wrong, and they're not getting constructive, productive guidance. And so they stay in an underdeveloped state, then they get bitter. We got a lot of people making some stupid mistakes, but they thinking they're doing a good job. And it's because the central office people don't know how to coach and move people in the right direction. So now we have a lot of fluff going on, a lot of lack of production, when we can be much more productive if we understood the power of getting the principals and the central office on the same page. If you need help with this, I would please give us a call and email and schedule our training program to help central offices and principals really find common ground. I mean, like I said, we have large districts, small districts, and what we do is we cater to each individual district. Anybody who's been to our training program, they will tell you I tailor to what you have going on. I'm a researcher, but the research that's most relevant to me is what's going on with you. All environments dictate something different. Principles don't specifically change, but processes can. And that's the wisdom of understanding how training really works. It's not an in-service. So this is why training time with me is yielding the results it is, because we're developing people. What a lot of people look for when they're like, let's get to training and let's see what the results are. You got to learn how to manage people development. You need to find out the results of developing people management and producing maturity within your leadership teams. There is a difference between leaders and managers. And the biggest difference is a lot of the training concepts and approaches to becoming better at communication, becoming better at getting adults to work together, becoming better at confrontation, becoming better at building teacher and principal rapport. We used to call those things soft skills. Those things are no longer soft skills. They're very hard skills, and they are skills that will determine your level of success. You need help. Matter of fact, I know you need help, right? I know you need help. Give us a call today. Get on the schedule. One thing I've been pretty good about here lately, even though our schedule is full, we have a waiting list. One thing I have asked my people to do, and we've been great about, if people call us, if they're serious and they need help, there's no way a school or a district is calling me, or a country. I got schools out of the country calling. If you say you need help, we're going to find a way to help and give you the guidance you need to support your program, right? So give us a call, email, and listen, let's go to work. Let's get the results we need to get your team on the same page. I'm Dr. Jackson. I'll see you soon.